The old house stood on a hill overlooking the town, a silhouette against the perpetual gray sky. We got it for a steal. A bit of a fixer-upper, the agent had said, but a home with character. My wife, Clara, fell in love with the stained glass windows and the winding oak staircase. Our 7-year-old daughter, Lily, was just excited to have a yard to play in. I had my doubts. The air in the house was heavy, stagnant, like it had been holding its breath for 100 years. But seeing their happy faces, I pushed my unease aside. That was my first mistake. The strangeness began subtly. Doors would creak open on their own. We'd blame the drafty old frame. Objects would go missing, my keys, Clara's favorite necklace only, to reappear in the most illogical places. We blamed our moving fatigue, the chaos of unpacking. Lily was the first to give it a name. She started talking to a new friend she called Millie. She said Millie lived in the walls and liked to play hide-and-seek. We thought it was just a child's imagination, a way to cope with the move. But then Lily's games grew unsettling. She'd hide in the dark, dusty crawl space for hours, emerging covered in cobwebs, whispering that Millie had shown her a secret. One night, I was woken by a faint sound. It was coming through the baby monitor on my nightstand. It wasn't Lily crying. It was a melody, a lullaby being hummed in a frail, raspy voice. I bolted upright, my heart hammering against my ribs. I raced to Lily's room. The door was ajar. Inside, she was fast asleep, but the rocking chair in the corner was moving back and forth, back and forth. Its creaks perfectly in time with the ghostly tune still faintly audible from the monitor. The room was ice cold. I grabbed Lily, wrapped her in a blanket, and brought her into our room, locking the door behind us. Clara woke up, her eyes wide with fear, as I explained. We didn't sleep for the rest of the night. The next day, we decided to do some research. In the town library's archives, buried in a dusty old newspaper from 1923, we found it. A story about the house on the hill. A family had lived there. They had a young daughter named Mildred. Millie. The article detailed a tragic fire. The parents escaped, but little Millie was trapped in her upstairs bedroom. She was never found. The report said she loved to sing lullabies, and her favorite toy was a small porcelain doll. That evening, while packing our bags in a frantic rush, Clara found something tucked away deep in Lily's closet. It was a small, antique porcelain doll, its face cracked and one eye missing. Its dress was singed at the edges. As I was loading the last box into the car, I heard a sound from the house. A little girl's giggle. It wasn't Lily. She was already buckled into her car seat, pale and silent. I looked up at the window of her old room. For a split second, I saw a small face peeking out from behind the curtain. A pale, smoky wisp of a girl with hollow eyes. And then she was gone. We drove away and didn't look back. Sometimes, late at night, I still wake up in a cold sweat, the faint sound of a lullaby echoing in my ears. Some houses don't have character. They have history, and some histories refuse to stay buried. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to subscribe for more. The old Blackwood Manor stood on the hill like a skeletal finger pointing at the stormy sky. They said it was empty, but the whispers in town told a different story. That's why Father Michael, was here. The bishop had sent me to investigate, to put the rumors to rest. But the moment I stepped across the threshold, I knew the rumors weren't just stories. The air was thick, heavy with a silence that felt older than the house itself. Dust motes danced in the slivers of moonlight piercing the grimy windows, but they seemed to move with a strange, unnatural purpose. I walked through the foyer, my footsteps echoing like gunshots in the oppressive quiet. A grand staircase swept upwards into darkness, and at its base, a portrait hung crookedly. It was a stern-faced man, his eyes painted with such malice they seemed to follow me. I felt a chill that had nothing to do with the autumn night. The house wasn't just old, it was watching. A floorboard creaked upstairs. I called out, my voice sounding small and fragile. "Is anyone here?" Only the groaning of the ancient wood answered. I started my ascent, my rosary clutched tight in my hand. The wooden beads, a small comfort against the encroaching dread. Each step up the stairs felt like a descent into madness. The temperature dropped with every riser, my breath fogging in front of my face. Then I heard it as soft, guttural chanting from a room down the hall. It was a language I didn't recognize, yet every syllable scraped against my soul. I pushed open the door and saw him, a figure cloaked in shadow, its form shifting and indistinct, stood before a wall, covered in frantically scrawled symbols. The air crackled with energy, and the name Malric seared itself into my mind. The demon turned, its eyes glowing embers in the gloom. It didn't speak with a voice, but with a thought that slithered directly into my consciousness. "You are too late, priest," the thought echoed, filled with ancient cruelty. "The lock weakens. He is almost free." Malric wasn't just haunting this house. He was performing a ritual, chipping away at a prison not of this world. The symbols on the wall began to glow with a sickening crimson light. The floorboards trembled, and a low, resonant growl seemed to emanate from the very foundations of the house. This wasn't just about a single demon. Malric was the key, and he was about to unlock a door to something far, far worse. The entity he was trying to release was something ancient, something that made a demon like him seem like a mere gnat. I raised my crucifix, my voice shaking as I began the rites of exorcism. "In the name of God, I command you, leave this place," Malric shrieked, a sound of tearing metal and breaking glass that vibrated through my bones. The shadows around him writhed and lashed out, but I held my ground, my faith a shield against his rage. "He will feast on your world," the demon snarled in my head. The wall behind him began to crack, a deep fissure spreading through the plaster. From within the crack, a darkness blacker than any night began to seep out, carrying with it a cold that promised eternal emptiness. I knew I couldn't just banish Malric. I had to stop what was coming through. The real horror wasn't the demon in front of me. It was what he was so desperately trying to let out. The fight for Blackwood Manor had just begun, and I feared it was a battle for the soul of the world itself. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more Tales from the Shadows. The loud crack from the basement echoed through the entire house. Everyone froze. Dust slowly fell from the ceiling. Lucas whispered nervously. That didn't sound good. Father Michael didn't answer immediately. His eyes were fixed toward the basement door. Another sound came. Thud, thud, thud. Something was hitting the sealed door downstairs. "What?" Emily held Sophie tightly. "What is that thing?" Father Michael finally spoke, something that was locked away for a reason. Sophie suddenly started laughing again, but the laugh wasn't childish anymore. It sounded cruel, cold. The demon inside her whispered, "He's waking up." Daniel shouted, "Who is waking up?" The demon slowly turned Sophie's head toward him, the one they buried. Father Michael forced himself to stay calm. "Everyone sit down. Now." The family gathered in the living room. Outside, the wind had grown stronger. The trees around the house moved violently. Father Michael spoke slowly. 22 years ago, something terrible happened in this house." Emily whispered, "The girl, Lily." Father Michael nodded. "Yes," he continued. "Lily Blackwood lived here with her parents. At first, everything was normal, but strange things began happening." Lucas leaned forward. "Like what?" "Voices, shadows, objects moving." Daniel frowned. "Just like us." Father Michael nodded. "Exactly like you." Emily asked quietly, "So what happened to Lily?" The priest paused. "Her parents believed she was being haunted. They called a spiritual healer, but they were wrong." Lucas asked, "What do you mean?" Father Michael replied, "The spirit wasn't haunting Lily. Something was living inside her." Emily covered her mouth. "You mean she was possessed?" "Yes, but not by the demon that is in Sophie now." Daniel looked confused. "Then by what?" Father Michael whispered one word. "Malric," the same name Sophie had spoken earlier. At that moment, Sophie slowly turned her head toward him again and smiled. Father Michael continued the story. "Malric is an ancient demon, not a simple spirit. It feeds on fear." "On suffering?" Emily asked quietly. "So how did they stop it?" Father Michael replied, A priest and a spiritual elder worked together. They trapped Malric inside Lily's body. Lucas frowned. That sounds horrible. Father Michael nodded. It was the only way. Daniel asked, "So Lily died?" The priest looked toward the basement. No. She was sealed. Everyone went silent. Emily slowly whispered, "You mean?" "Yes. The sealed door in the basement." Danya's eyes widened. "That door is Lily." Father Michael nodded. They sealed the room so Malric could never escape. Lucas looked horrified. "So she's been down there for 20 years. Right then, another loud bang came from the basement. The house shook again. Sophie laughed loudly. "You should have left the door alone." Suddenly, the basement door burst open by itself. Bang! A cold wind rushed up the stairs. All the lights in the house went out. The entire house fell into darkness. Lucas screamed, "I can't see anything." Father Michael quickly lit a small candle from his bag. Its light barely illuminated the room, but it was enough to show something terrifying. The basement stairs were now covered in black shadows moving slowly upward, like smoke. Emily whispered in terror, "What is that?" Father Michael said, "One word, Malric." Sophie suddenly collapsed on the floor again. Her body twisted violently. Then she screamed, but this time it wasn't the demon speaking. It was Sophie. "Help me." Emily ran toward her, but Father Michael stopped her. "No, don't touch her," Daniel shouted. "She's our daughter." Father Michael looked directly at him. "And if you touch her now, the demon will take you too." The black smoke from the basement slowly filled the hallway. The candle flame flickered wildly. Lucas whispered, "It's coming." 10. Soothingly, a tall shadow appeared at the top of the basement stairs. At first it looked like a human shape, but it kept growing. Taller. Thinner. Its arms stretched unnaturally long. Emily gasped. "Oh my God!" The shadow's head slowly tilted, and two glowing red eyes opened. Daniel stepped back. "That's not Lily." Father Michael whispered, "No, that's Malric." The demon spoke. Its voice echoed through the house like many voices speaking at once. "You opened the prison. And now I am free." Suddenly everything in the house began flying. Chairs slammed against walls. Pictures shattered. The windows exploded outward. Wind roared through the rooms. Lucas held onto the couch to avoid being thrown. Daniel shouted, "What do we do?" Father Michael quickly began praying loudly. "In the name of the Almighty." The demon laughed. "You cannot stop me now." Sophie's body suddenly lifted into the air again. She floated beside the demon. Her eyes were still black, but tears rolled down her face. Emily screamed. "Sophie!" The demon whispered. "She belongs to me now." Then something unexpected happened. A weak voice came from the basement. A girl's voice. Soft. Painful. "Help me." Everyone froze. Lucas whispered, "That's Lily." The demon growled angrily. Silence, but the voice continued. "Please. Don't let him out." Father Michael realized something important. "Lily is still alive," Daniel said in shock. "After 20 years, Father Michael nodded. The seal trapped Malric, but Lily's spirit remained bound." Emily whispered, "She's been suffering all this time." The voice cried again from below. "Close the door." Father Michael suddenly understood what needed to be done. He turned to Daniel. "There is still a chance." Daniel asked quickly, "What chance?" "We must reseal the door." Lucas asked, "How?" Father Michael answered, "With a ritual." Emily asked nervously, "How long will it take?" The priest replied, 10 minutes. Daniel looked toward the demon standing in the hallway. "That thing won't give us 10 seconds. Father Michael nodded. "I know." Then he said something serious, which means someone must distract it. Everyone went silent. Lucas looked terrified. Distract. The demon. Father Michael looked at Daniel. You're the only one strong enough. Emily immediately shouted. No! Daniel looked at his daughter floating in the air. Then he looked at the demon. Slowly he said, I'll do it.